Welcome to Farm Charm Chic. I'm Emily. In today's episode, I am sharing with you some of my favorite fall decorating and DIY hacks. Some of these will be hacks for DIYing. Some of them will be just making your life easier as far as decorating goes. Either way, I know you're going to find something you're definitely going to want to try this season. I will have 2 new videos coming out this weekend, one on Friday, one on Saturday, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss those uploads. One is a mystery box challenge and another is a fun collaboration for fall with some other YouTube friends. Both of those videos are going to be so much fun, all filled with new projects. For now, let's go make some DIYs. This is such a fun and easy hack and a great way to display some mini wreaths that you might find, because I feel like fall time especially, there are so many beautiful little wreaths that I just love them. It brings that cozy feel into your home, and it's such a great way to bring in some florals and some softness to your decor. Now I've just cut all of the tags off of this, and I'm just deciding on the type of ribbon that I want to use, and so that's just kind of a matter of personal preference, but you will need some ribbon to do this hack with to be able to hang your wreath. I'm going to hang it on my cupboard door in my kitchen. So I am just getting a length of ribbon. I think I get a little bit too much to begin with here. So once you get used to hanging the ribbons on your cupboard door, you'll kind of be able to eyeball a decent length that you want. It's easier, of course, though, to start with a little too much and take some off than it is to start with too little and having to cut more ribbon. But I'm just going to feed this ribbon through my wreath here and then tie it off at the top. And then I just go ahead and tie it with a knot. Now, I love to use a zip tie when I tie these off to hang these, and I'll show you the hack that I use to hang these. That's kind of what the big hack is here. But a zip tie works well because I'm going to use a command hook, and it hooks really well rather than the ribbon that I use is usually a little too thick, especially with this type of ribbon. You just want to make sure that your ribbon is going to lie flat on the front of your cupboard. You're not going to see this tied end that's going to be on the inside of your cupboard. So I snip mine down so it looks a little bit prettier. But again, your cupboards are going to be closed unless you open them. But I mean, you typically don't have people opening and going through your cupboards. So here is the zip tie. I'm just going to feed this through the knot there. That way it can hang at the angle, making the ribbon lie flat here. So I leave my zip tie open. I don't usually tighten them. I just kind of leave them pretty wide. Just kind of depends on how far you want this to hang down. Now you can see these are just the command hooks. They do sell a different brand at Dollar Tree that you can use. I just didn't have any of those because my kids steal them all the time. But you want to do this upside down. This is the big part of the hack here. So you want to have this, I'm doing my best to do this one-handed to show you that you want your hook to be hanging upside down. So I also place the sticker on upside down. And then you want to go down 3 or 4 inches from your cupboard. You don't want this at the very top. You want your ribbon to be able to hang flat, and you're going to hang this with that hook upside down. You can kind of see I'm showing you here. That way, when your ribbon comes around, you'll see exactly what I'm doing here. Sometimes it's easier to see it than to explain it. But that zip tie goes right over that hook there and hangs, and then you just want to make sure that everything goes flat. You don't want that knot to be in the way of where your cupboard door closes, so that's why you want to hang that a little bit lower. And then depending on where you want your wreath to set, that's where you determine the length of your ribbon. So you can see how beautiful this looks. Such an easy hack to do. And once you have your command hooks on there, you get to change this out for whatever season that you want. Maybe you just like some plain greenery. I love to do this at Christmas time and have all of those different wreaths. But it's just as simple as having an upside down command hook on the back of your cupboard. What do you guys think of this hack? With this DIY, I'm just taking this little cutting board from Dollar Tree and I'm going to turn it into a pumpkin. So I'm just painting it orange. I'm just using some pumpkin orange color chalk paint, and I'm just going to do front and back, all the sides, everything. Now, if you want to do a variation of a different color of a pumpkin or something, feel free to do that. But I really just kind of wanted to make this one orange. And then I'm just taking one of these paint stir sticks. I buy these in a package there's several of them for like $1 or $1.50 or something. And I just cut one down to about 4 inches, and I'm painting that green for the stem. Now, this stencil came from Hobby Lobby. I've actually been really impressed with their stencil section lately. They've kind of upped their game. They've gotten some really cute, fun stencils. But I thought this kind of had like a fun little French country feel to it, little fleur-de-lis type thing. So I'm just taping that on, and I'm just wanting this to go along the bottom of the pumpkin to kind of give it that little bit of a French country flair. When I stencil, I like to use painter's tape to hold that stencil in place, and then I just lightly tap up and down, and as you can see here, with just a small amount of paint on your brush. You don't want so much that when you stipple it down that it's going to like smudge paint underneath the stencil. So you want it to be a very light process, and if you have to go over it a couple of times, do that. And then once I'm done, I just peel it back, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. I thought this looked super cute, so I'm just kind of checking where I want the stem, and I'll just use some hot glue to fix that stem on there, and then I just kind of push that down and get that put into place, and it's starting to look like a pumpkin, I think. And now I'm going to put a little bit of embellishment on it because I love to do that. So I'm just gluing some Spanish moss to the top here, and I'll swing that all the way around to the back of that stem, and I'll glue it down there so it's all in place and it goes all the way around the stem. And then I just add a couple extra little things that I've got here for embellishment. These are little sprigs off of a boxwood pick that I bought from I didn't get it at Hobby Lobby. I got it at Walmart. Their boxwood picks are the best, and they're like $1.97, and you can do so many projects out of just one of them. So I'm just gluing those on. I'm just putting this one down because I wanted it to kind of go over the corner of the pumpkin there, and so I'll do that. Now I'm just taking some twine, and I wrap that around my finger several times and tie it in the middle to make a cute little twine bow. I thought that was cute to have a thicker twine bow like this. And then I felt like it needed maybe even something a little extra. So I have this little white pitberry that I have. You can get this Dollar Tree, any craft store really. And I'm just going to wrap it around the stem and kind of twist it so it stays on there. And then using just like a paintbrush, I'm just going to wrap each side around that to kind of make the curly cute little vines of a pumpkin there. And I realized that I had done them kind of long, and so I just trimmed them off to what size I want them to be. And then with the little pieces that I ended up trimming off, I end up just gluing into the top there, so there's a couple of extra little pumpkin vines coming out all around. I just liked the contrast of the white pitberry on this, and I just thought it looked really cute kind of all over the stem there, and that it just kind of was the little touch that it needed. I think this turns out beautifully. I love this. You could do this with any sign that you have or plank wood or anything. Nobody would know that this was a cutting board. And I really think that it has such a French country feel to it, and I just love it. I thought it would be fun to try my hand at making some custom candles from the Dollar Tree pillar candles. So I've just placed these in a pot of water, and I will slowly bring up the temperature on these to melt this wax completely down. Now these do come with wicks in the middle, so you can reuse those wicks. I'm doing something different. I'll show you in just a moment. But I've just placed out a lid from like a pan. I use it a lot in crafting to kind of contain my mess, especially when working with like my different like Spanish moss or reindeer moss. But I thought it would be perfect to line with some paper because inevitably I will spill some wax. Now here is the wicks that I'm using, or here are the wicks I'm using. These are just some wooden, it says they're crackling wicks. Honestly, you don't really hear much of a crackle, but I thought it would be fun to use these, a little more custom high-end look, something that's just a little different than reusing the wax or the wick from the Dollar Tree ones. But definitely, I mean, if you want to cut costs down, you can definitely reuse those wicks. I did put them in a little baggie, so I'll have them for another time if I need some wicks for another project. Now these little jack-o'-lantern votives I picked up at Dollar Tree, and I just love them. I love them because you can turn them around and have them be like the plain pumpkin on the back side if you want to have more of the pumpkin side displayed, or you can have that cute little classic jack-o'-lantern face. Apparently, I'm really wanting to show you how these wicks work, and they are really quite nice. They have that little metal base that you can use. Now, I have not taken any wax out of these candles, and you saw how full they were before. So it melts down quite a bit. They must like whip the wax or something when they put on here, because even with the wax solidifying, it doesn't go that low. But anyhow, it takes 4 of these pillar candles to fill 3 of the Dollar Tree votives. I was just using my silicone dishwashing gloves there that have kind of like the bristly stuff on the inside of them. Just be very careful. You're working with hot wax. You can definitely burn yourself. But I would just pour the wax in there till I got it to my desired fill length. Now these are some essential oils I picked up off of Amazon. There are so many different types to choose from. I will link them in the description box. You don't have to add a scent. I thought that was kind of a fun part. There was 4 scents that were really good in this, and 2 of them I did not like at all. So just keep that in mind when you're buying scents unsmelled. You may not like all of them. Now, once I get all of my scent added in and stirred around just with a bamboo skewer, I placed that little wooden wick down inside, and it was kind of a dome shape on the bottom of these, so the wick wasn't standing up quite so well. So I did just place some bamboo skewers to hold it into place until that wax hardened. Now you could cut your wick down beforehand, which would work if you're using scissors. I have these little like jewelry snippers that have a flat end, and so I'm just kind of snipping either side of the wick there, and then you'll see I just kind of bend it back and forth and it snips right off, and then I can go back in and kind of straighten up or trim any mess, but you can kind of see how that wick looks. And then here I'm just showing you where I went and kind of flattened it off there because when you break it off, it doesn't have quite the prettiest edge. So depending on what you're wanting to do, you may or may not need to do that. I think these are so fun to have those little cute faces there. I did 3 different fall scents in there. My daughters were already like, ooh, I want this one to burn first. They all have their favorite scents picked out. And honestly, they smelled so wonderful the day that I made these walking into my house. It just smelled just like fall. But you can see how beautiful and cute these are, just all lit up. I thought this was such an easy project. It took about an hour, a little over an hour for all of that wax to melt down. So it is kind of a little bit of like an afternoon project to do, but super fun. And I think these were so cute. They would make great gifts to do. But even if you didn't have these little pumpkin votives, I've seen people use like different mugs that they love. There's all sorts of different vessels that you could use to pour that wax into to use. But I just thought these were so cute and the fun different scents. But I'm already thinking other seasons, what could I do to make like Christmas gifts or different things? I think what a fun idea. Have you guys tried making candles? Did you have success with it? Do you have any tips you would like to share? Let me know down in the comments. This is such an incredibly easy hack, but so beautiful. I'm just taking a riser that I've made. Any riser, any size will do. And you're just going to get a wreath. Maybe you've got one laying around your house. I picked this one up at Hobby Lobby, but whatever's going to suit your style of decorating, grab that. You just want to make sure that the circumference of your wreath roughly matches the circumference of your riser. You'll kind of see why when I display it in the end. But I'm just cutting off all of the tagging and everything and placing this wreath on the riser. I'm just going to go ahead and fluff it all up, make it look really pretty, and I'm just kind of going to make sure that there's a nice flat opening in the center because I'm going to place a candle down in the center of the riser. Now, as I'm doing this, you guys, I took like 2 or 3 tags off of this already, but I noticed that you can see the little price tag hiding in there. I love how that happens sometimes. It was orange, it blended in. I'm glad I noticed it, or I might have left it there all season. Has anybody ever done that where you take something down and go, oh, the price tag was showing the whole time? Anyhow, I have this candle I picked up at the Dollar Tree, and I just love the design on the outside. It's got those beautiful leaves. I felt like it was so fall. It's something you could leave all through Thanksgiving. But you just set that down in the center of your wreath, and you have the most beautiful display for just like minutes of effort. And I just think this is so beautiful and so simple. And it's a hack that you could use any season, anytime throughout the year. I just thought that this ended up so lovely. So remember this hack next time you see some really pretty wreaths displayed, some little miniature wreaths, because this is so fun. And I mean, imagine this sitting in the center of your table for a beautiful dinner. I just love how it turns out. Is this something that you guys would try? So this is kind of a decorating hack as well as a DIY. And by DIY, I mean that in the simplest of forms. Hobby Lobby has these darling little wreaths. They have them for all different seasons. I've seen them also like at Walmart, Michael's, Joann's, Dollar Tree once upon a time, but I haven't seen them there for years. I also found these cute little cutting or charcuterie boards at Hobby Lobby. I found this little sign blank there as well, so I picked that up, and I loved the buffalo check design on this. If you don't have a cutting board or you want to have a patterned one like that buffalo checked one, I will leave a link to a video down in my description box where I did decoupage some craft paper onto a cutting board from IKEA that turned out super cute. But all you're going to do is just take one of these wreaths and you're going to wrap the jute twine, kind of bend the jute twine in half, and then wrap the little loop around and pull the tails through. So you can kind of watch what I do here. And then you're going to just use this as a decoration on the cutting board. So at first on this circular one, I was going to tie it around the neck and then realized with that fun little handle on there that I would wrap it through. And I love how this looks. So it's just me wrapping this around the top, and then I do tie it off and I use a little dot of hot glue to hold this on. because I want to be able to change the wreath out as the seasons go, or maybe not even have a wreath if I decide at some point that it's too much or I want a more simplistic look. On this cute little charcuterie board that has the buffalo check, I love the orange with this black and white here. I just think that totally screams fall and even a little bit of Halloween if you're not one to decorate with necessarily Halloween decorations, but like to have the color scheme. It's perfect. So this just shows you up close how I get this on here. It's so easy. You just loop that through and you pull the tails through. And that just makes it so you don't have to really untie anything. You can just kind of pull that loose when you're ready to change this out. And this will be so fun. I will definitely change this one out because I have buffalo check for my winter decoration. So I will be able to put a Christmas wreath or tag or something on here. And then of course you just take it around the neck and you just tie it in just a knot. And I mean, how much simpler can you get than that? But I love the way it looks, and it is so stylish right now with the different cutting boards and charcuterie boards to have them layered and stacked like in your hutch or on your against your backsplash in your kitchen. And how fun would that be on one of them to have a darling wreath? Now, I don't expect you to be tying a wreath to like all of your cutting boards, you know, just kind of do it a little bit sparingly. But this just shows you the different looks and the different ideas to hopefully inspire you. Now, if you don't have a cutting board and you don't have a way to get one, or you happen to have a sign blank at home, this is another way to get it on. You're going to use one of these little command hooks. I didn't even have any more of the backings that go on them, so I just use a little bit of hot glue to hot glue it onto the sign. So I kind of place my wreath and get an idea of where, how low I want the little hook to go. And then I just add a little bit of hot glue to get that to adhere. So simple, so easy. Now the main part of the wreath is a little too thick to fit in the command hook, so you're just going to find one of the little vines that's there and kind of pull it up to be able to hook over that. And then these are all have wire in them, the branches, so you're easily able to kind of mold them and cover that up so you can't see that. You can kind of strategically place a leaf if you need to or something. But this, I mean, you could take the ties off of this and use this anywhere. You could hang it. But just to add a little bit of fall that is so easy and something that looks a little bit custom, not just a plain wreath, but dress it up a little bit with something, if that makes sense. I just think this looks so fun, and not only so fun, but I just think it's darling. Here's all three looks together. Which one of these would you like in your home? I think these are so cute and so simple and literally no skill, guys. Anybody can do this. I made a fatal error and did not film this before of this muffin tin, but it did come from Dollar Tree, and you guys have all seen muffin tins before. So I just took it into my garage and I used this paint. It's like a satin amber, and I really did like it. It turned out really good. It was a little bit more dull than a traditional pumpkin, which I liked. It's not so bright in your face orange. And after it dried, it took about 3 coats to get the coverage I wanted. I'm just taking just a little, this is one of the brushes from Dollar Tree, the stencil brushes, and I am just taking some white chalk paint that I watered down, and I am just dipping it in that, and I brush the excess off so I don't get huge drops, and then I'm just like flicking it with my finger to kind of give it that speckled look. I think that's kind of a fun, cute look. Now, of course, this is not food safe in any way, so don't think that it is, and I'll show you kind of how it won't get mixed up with your food safe ones. But again, I'm just going over the front and the back here just to kind of give it that coverage that I want. So I'm taking some ribbon and I am going to put ribbon through the little hole on the side, and I just bend my ribbon in half and then stick it from the front of the pan. You can kind of see, it's easier to see than explain this, down. So it makes a loop in the back, and then I will just feed that ribbon through the loop. I should have left it a little bit longer. It would have been easier, and then trimmed it down. But however you want to do that. But this way, in case you happen to have an orange pan that looks similar to this and you don't want to get mixed up with your food safe items or whatever, I mean, nobody's going to come and think, oh, there's ribbon on this, I can put it in the oven. So hopefully that helps. But I just thought it looked cute on here also. This would be really cute to sit out with some like little Halloween candy that's wrapped in it, like, some little Kit Kats or Reese's or something like that. I thought would be super cute kind of in this for like a little tray display. But it's just kind of fun. I have a couple of these that I use for different seasons to kind of in my China hutch just have as a little, it's a kitchen item, and it's just kind of fun to decorate it and have it look, kind of festive for the season. And then I'm just using my lighter tool here just to kind of sear the edge of those ribbons so that way they don't fray at all. And then you can see those little pumpkins sit really cute in it. I just think this turns out really cute. It's something that's kind of fun, and it just kind of adds that like festive flair to your kitchen for the holiday. And you can do this with any color of paint for any season. When I saw these little pumpkin treat buckets at Dollar Tree, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with them. I thought they were so cute. And you could hang them backwards if you just wanted the pumpkin to show. If you like that cute little classic jack-o'-lantern face, it's just such a fun way to bring a definite fall feel into your home. Now, this is just a beaded garland that I have that I use against a giant mirror that I have in my living room. I don't have a fireplace or a mantle, but I think this would be so cute along there as well. But I do a lot of different things to this beaded garland to kind of dress it up for different holidays. And so I thought this would be such a fun thing if you have a garland like this. If you don't, they do sell them. I mean, at the craft stores, Walmart, you can pick them up for very inexpensive. I mean, I think around $6 at Hobby Lobby when you buy it on sale. So this is just some little baby clothespins that I have here that I'm using to put through the twine that's on here. And I'm just hooking it through the twine and then onto that little handle of that little bucket. Such a fun and easy, quick hack to do. I'll just go through the rest of the garland and continue hooking these little buckets on. Once I get all of my little buckets attached, I just lift it up to make sure I have my spacing done really well. I wish there was 5, so it had an odd number, but there was only 4 in the package. So just take that as if you have a longer garland, you may want to pick a second package of these up. Now I wanted to cutesy it up a little bit more. The buckets are really cute just hanging there, but on those little clothespins, I thought it would be really cute to have this little black ribbon with this little white trim. This did come from just the fabric section at Hobby Lobby, and I thought it would just be so cute with these little teeny bows, because we all know that I love bows tied on there. So it's up to you if you want to dress this up or jazz it up a little bit more. But I just do 4 of those little bows, and I'm just getting them all to the exact same size so it looks very cohesive. It just takes a little bead of hot glue on each of these little clothespins, and then I will just place my little bow on there. I really do think that this adds just such a good finishing touch on here and just makes it look very Cutesy and high-end. I just love the way it looks. I feel like this was really what sets it off. I love the blacks and orange. Even if you're not like a Halloween fan, I still feel like blacks and oranges in fall just bring that feel of October into your home. And so I really do just love that. But I'm just going to continue on gluing all of my little bows on. It's really hard for me to film this and show you how it looks on my mirror just because of reflections and cameras and lighting and all sorts of other things, but I just thought I would put it here on this display to show you how cute this turns out. Do you guys like the bows on there? You could even fill these little buckets with something to have that be a little bit of an addition that you add. I just think these turn out so cute. And again, something easy that you could use for different types of seasons. If you have a garland that you like to kind of keep basic and add a few little different touches to it for different seasons. What do you guys think of these little trick-or-treat buckets? I picked this up at Vintage Market Days. It's actually the metal part of the front of an old-fashioned fan, and you can kind of see the paints chipping and everything, so I did lightly go around to clean this off. But I got this to kind of have in my everyday decor, but as I was looking at it, it looked like it would make the perfect cute little pumpkin. I like doing pumpkins out of non-traditional things, as you guys have seen. So I'm just taking this as part of a plunger handle from Dollar Tree, and I just stained it with antique wax to be the stem. You could paint it green if you wanted to. I just kind of liked the brown on there, and I'm just going to hot glue this. So technically I could take this handle off, because with the hot glue I would be able to peel that off the back when the season was over, and I could then use it just as my everyday decor, kind of just as like an extra little piece. So I took some of this pitberry and I did wrap it around a pencil to get that little corkscrew shape for the pumpkin vine, and now I'm just going to tie some raffia around the stem. I just thought this would add a really cute texture to it, and just kind of, I want to jazz it up a little bit. So I am just tying this into a knot rather than a bow. I thought the knot would be really cute. And for a minute, I leave this raffia really long because I'm not sure how long I want to keep it. So don't worry, I'm not going to leave it this long. I just didn't exactly know where I wanted to put it once I got everything on there, so I decided to leave it long while I added everything else. So I'm just taking this little pitberry. It's just on a wire, and you can get this at Dollar Tree. You can get it at any craft store, really. Walmart has it. And I'm just going to wrap it around the stem, and then just kind of, you can see, wrap it over itself so that way it's affixed to there. Now, none of this is like a permanent thing. I do end up gluing some leaves on here, but I can easily peel those off. And like I said, I can use this for everyday decor if I want as well. So now I'm just tying a little bit of the buffalo check. I love that black and white with the orange. It really is fall, can go into Halloween or Thanksgiving time. I just feel like that color combination is just really good for this time of year. So these are just a couple of leaves off of some of the Dollar Tree leaf picks that I got, and I'm just going to glue those on. I like the contrast of both colors on this. If you don't happen to have like one of these grates like this, or you don't happen to find one or anything, I was trying to think of some alternatives that you could use. I mean, you can do really pumpkins out of anything, but even at like the hardware store, if you go down like the ceiling aisle where the ceiling tiles are, they have like those round ceiling, I'm not even sure what they're called, but they kind of crown like a nice light or something, would actually be kind of fun to use. They might have some different vent shapes that would be fun to use as well. So I cut that raffia off. I even cut it just a little bit more because I feel like it's a little long there. And then I just pull my little tails of that ribbon down and just kind of fluff it up and play with it until it looks just how I want it. I thought this is turning out so cute. Something kind of non-traditional, and you guys know that I like to kind of do that with my things and just work with what you have. So start looking at the shapes around your house, seeing what you can turn them into, because I bet you've even just got a few things laying around your house that you could use. So I like to kind of crinkle up that raffia. I kind of like the really shaggy look to it, if that makes sense there. And then I just trim a couple long pieces there, play with it till I get it just right. And I love how this turns out. I think this is going to be so fun in my decor. I would love to know your thoughts on this piece. A few videos back, I did a thrift flipping with my family video, and while my family was picking out some DIYs, I found these two beautiful Bunt pans, and I knew I wanted to grab them to make some pumpkins out of, so I've been holding on to them for a couple of months. Now this little copper one right here, it does have a little hanger on it like it was made for wall decor, so I don't think it was ever used to cook anything in, but this Bunt pan is heavy duty, it's beautiful, but I just loved the color, and if you saw the price on there. I only paid $1 for it. So both of these I paid $1 for. Great bargain, great deal, and they're going to make some beautiful pumpkins. To start with, I'm just taking some floral foam. You could use some styrofoam, just something to fill in the gap in the middle of this Bunt pan so we can fill it with a stem and some florals to kind of bring in that nice fall feel. I've seen a lot of these through Pinterest and my Instagram feed that people have done, and there's so many different ways to make these look like pumpkins. So I'm just kind of taking my spin on it today. I hope you guys enjoy this one. This is just a finial that I had. It's from Hobby Lobby, but any type of finial or even just a stick from your yard that you could cut down to make it look like the stem of a pumpkin would work great. So no need to get too fancy with that. I just painted mine green, and now I'm just putting a little bit of hot glue down on this floral foam, and I'm just putting some Spanish moss here. This is just going to help fill in all of the gaps here, give my florals something else to stick to besides that floral foam, and it's also just going to bring home that nice fall color. I love using Spanish moss in my fall DIYs. Now, first of all, I'm just going to dry fit. I just grabbed a bunch of my fall foliage, like fall florals rather, that I have here, and leaving some little succulents there, and I just brought them all out. And I'm just playing around just until I can kind of see if I like the way something looks or I don't. And this way, before I glue everything in place to be more of a permanent hold, I know if I like it. Now, one thing you could do is if this is a pan that you're not wanting to use any hot glue on or anything, you could skip the step of the hot glue and just dry fit everything in here and use your pan. Even if you did use a little bit of hot glue, you can still get that off of the pan. But this way, if you're not wanting to totally ruin a pan, you're just wanting it for decorational purposes, but then have it be functional, that's one thing to remember as well. So you could just totally dry fit all of your florals here and just leave it. I do end up gluing mine just so I could show you the process that I go through. Now with my leaves right here, this is a wonderful tip if you get some silk flowers or leaves that are very crumpled, especially from Dollar Tree. You guys know how some of those picks can look. Just blast them flat on a table with your little heat tool that blows the hot air there. That's just going to help flatten those out, and you can see how they went from very wrinkly to very flat. It's a great hack, and it works wonderful this time of year because I feel like all of the fall leaves that come into Dollar Tree especially look so crumpled and gross, and you just are tempted to not buy them, but never fear, this trick works wonders. I love using a little bit of pipberry here. You can see off to the right, that was just kind of a pick that I got at Hobby Lobby that had all of these little orange pipberries there that you can kind of make look like little corkscrews, like the little pumpkin vines or tendrils that come off of those pumpkins. And so I love using those. Now my stem was a little too green for the vibe that I was wanting to go for, so I'm just covering it with some antiquing wax. Once I get this completely covered, I'll take just a baby wipe or a wet paper towel and kind of just wipe, just wipe the excess off. And it's just going to leave you with a nice aged look there, more antique. You can kind of see how that will stay in all of the grooves on this little piece of the spinel here. And I really do like the aged look that brings, and it kind of was more the vibe I was going for. Now that I've set everything in, I've dry fitted it to where I want it, I'm going to kind of take it out the best I can, almost like a clock. That's how it made sense in my mind anyway. I'm just taking all of these pieces out, placing them kind of where I had them set in my foam, and that way when I go back in to glue everything, I have it kind of in the area that I want it. Doesn't look exactly the same, but I'm very pleased with how it turns out. I'm using a lot of hot glue to make sure that this stem doesn't go anywhere. It's not strong enough that you're going to want to pick this up by the stem by any means, but I definitely want that stem staying in place, not getting knocked over or anything like that. And the glue is going directly onto the foam. It's not going anywhere on my Bunt pan. Now I just kind of work in the same order, going with a little bit of hot glue on the ends. I think if I had one of those crocks that you're able to kind of dip your stem in with the hot glue. I've never had one of those, but this was one of those projects that I thought, that might be worth having. If you have one of those with the little hot glue beads that you put in, this would be a perfect project to pull that out for and do this with. But you could also use any kind of glue that you like to use. Crafting glue, hot glue is just what my go-to, and so that's what I was using here, just a little bit on the stems, and then I go around and just stick each of them in, trying to get them as close to where I had them before, but just whatever feels good, because once they're glued in, you can still kind of have a little bit of wiggle room to manipulate them how you want, but they're gonna be pretty secure once you glue them in. When I found this Bunt pan, I was so excited with the color because it was already this beautiful harvest gold fall color, and I thought it would be so fun to do this with the pumpkin, but then this copper one I thought matched so well with it, so I thought they would be really cute together. I wanted to go for a more neutral look with this copper one, so this is just a peg from like a shaker shelf, and I'm just staining it with a little bit of antiquing wax to kind of make it look a little more aged, and then just a little bit of hot glue. It fit perfectly down, and there was this little indentation there, and it fit perfectly in there, and we're going to glue some stuff around it. I did not put any Spanish moss on this because I didn't really feel like it needed it, but with whatever florals you're deciding to do, some Spanish moss is a great filler to use. I just had these this was a package of the little cotton pods from Dollar Tree. There was 4 of them in there. I end up using 3. And then in between each of the cotton pieces here, you can see this is just a little bit of scrap leaf off of just one of those picks that I have off to the side there. I'll blast it with my heat tool to flatten it out, and you can see how flat that makes it. And then I just put a little bit of glue, and I'm going to just tuck one of these little leaves in between each of the cotton pieces of cotton. Are they cotton pods? Is that? Somebody told me in one of my videos what they were called, and now I cannot remember for the life of me. But I'm just going to stick some of those leaves in between all of those little pieces of cotton. Where this particular pan did not have a hole or recessed area, I wasn't too worried about actually gluing my piece directly, like the little florals directly onto the pan, since I don't really feel like this particular pot or pan was worth anything. The Bunt pan might have a little bit of historical value. I just wanted to kind of be as careful as I could not to have the glue touch that one. This one I feel is just more strictly decorational anyway, and so I didn't have a problem gluing things directly to it. Now these are just some pip berries on this. I thought it was fun to kind of bring that harvest color of pip berry in on this particular one to tie it in to our harvest gold Bunt pan that I've used. So I just thought it was kind of a fun way to bring the fall colors, but you could stay completely neutral, do some white pip berry, or skip this step altogether. I love wrapping it around like a pencil or a paintbrush as I'm doing here to give it that nice corkscrew look. I just really do think that kind of ties in the pumpkin vines and how they get all of those little corkscrews and curlicues everywhere. I thought that was a really fun touch. I think these turn out so pretty. How fun are these going to be to have for kitchen decor for fall? And where these are such like a neutral fall, you can put them up at the beginning of the season and leave them all throughout Thanksgiving or however long you leave your fall decor up. I think they're beautiful. I love this trend. You can search grandma's cabinet. Maybe you've even got a really fun Bunt pan. Check your thrift stores. Even if you don't find them in this color that I did, I've seen them done with all different colors, and I think they all turn out beautifully. What do you guys think of these? Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed today's projects. If you did have a favorite, always let me know down in the comments. It is so fun reading which projects that you guys liked the best. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Happy crafting! If you liked the video that you just saw and you want to keep crafting together, here's another video that you might enjoy. And as always, remember to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.